Good evening, Virgo. Happy to see you today. Hmm. Okay, tomorrow marks the beginning of transformation you've been unconsciously preparing for through every struggle, every disappointment, every moment where you wondered if things would ever actually get better. And the answer to that wondering is about to become undeniably, viscerally, life alteringly clear. Not soon, not eventually, tomorrow. The energy building toward this moment has been accumulating for weeks or months, pressure increasing, momentum gathering, circumstances aligning in ways you might have noticed peripherally but haven't fully connected into recognizable pattern yet. But tomorrow, pattern becomes obvious, invisible becomes visible, potential becomes actual. Let me describe what your life changes forever looks like when it's happening tomorrow instead of in distant future. It means decision gets made by you, by someone else, by circumstances that locks in trajectory you've been circling around without committing to. Commitment that's been pending becomes official. Opportunity that's been maybe becomes yes. Situation that's been undefined becomes clear. And that clarity, that definitiveness creates cascade of changes across multiple areas of life simultaneously. When one major piece shifts into place, everything connected to that piece shifts accordingly. Like dominoes, like puzzle, where placing one piece suddenly makes pattern obvious and remaining pieces fall into place rapidly. Or it means arrival of what you've been waiting for without necessarily knowing you were waiting for it. Message, call, email, encounter, information, person, opportunity. Tomorrow specifically, channels open, communication flows, connections form. What's been blocked starts moving. What's been delayed starts arriving. What's been impossible starts becoming possible. And the arrival isn't subtle, isn't something you have to squint to recognize as significant, is obviously important, clearly meaningful, undeniably life-changing. Let's pause here. This reflection invites you to consider if you woke up tomorrow and your life had fundamentally changed, what change would feel most like finally it's happening? Maybe career breakthrough you've been working toward, offer arriving, recognition landing, project launching, income jumping, professional validation materializing after a period of feeling undervalued or invisible, or relational shift you've been hoping for, person declaring intention, relationship becoming official, connection deepening, clarity emerging about where you stand with someone who's been ambiguous. Or financial relief you've been desperate for, money arriving through expected or unexpected channel, debt clearing, burden lifting, resources becoming adequate instead of constantly insufficient, or internal peace you've been chasing, anxiety releasing, depression lifting, mental clarity returning, emotional stability establishing after a period of chaos or numbness, or physical improvement you've been pursuing, health issue resolving, energy returning, pain decreasing, body responding to treatment or intervention in ways it hasn't responded before. Whatever your version of life changing is that specific thing you need or want most urgently. That's what's organizing itself to arrive tomorrow. This reflection invites you to consider, does knowing change is coming tomorrow create more excitement or more anxiety for you. The surprise element means you're not fully expecting this, even though you've been hoping for it. You might have given up consciously, might have decided to accept current reality as permanent, might have stopped actively hoping because hoping without receiving was becoming too painful. And that surrender, that release of desperate grasping, is actually what created conditions for arrival. Paradox of manifestation. Often things arrive when we stop choking them with need, when we release death grip and focus on being okay regardless, when we stop making our happiness conditional on one specific thing finally working out. You've been doing that work consciously or unconsciously, learning to be okay, building life that functions even without the thing you want. And that's when the thing arrives. Not because you earned it through surrender, but because surrender created space for it to enter. That desperate grasping was blocking. The surprise is that you stopped expecting it right before it appeared. Timing is almost cruel in its irony, but timing is also perfect because now you can receive from place of wholeness instead of from place of desperate need. This reflection invites you to consider, what have you recently released attachment to that might be about to arrive now that you've stopped desperately chasing it? What you need to do today, literally today, before tomorrow arrives, to prepare for life-changing shift. Clear your schedule as much as possible for tomorrow and potentially next few days. If change is major, you'll need bandwidth to process it, respond to it, integrate it. Don't have every hour locked into obligations that prevent you from being available when opportunity requires immediate response. Handle whatever outstanding small things you can handle today. Return calls, pay bills, finish tasks. Create as much clean slate as possible so when tomorrow brings big thing, you're not juggling it alongside chaos. Tell at least one person you trust that something significant might be happening. Not to jinx it, but to have witness and support system ready. When major shifts happen, having someone to process with, celebrate with, or get reality check from is valuable. And prepare yourself emotionally for receiving good thing without immediately sabotaging it through disbelief, unworthiness, or waiting for disaster to balance the blessing. Practice right now. Actually practice saying out loud, I'm allowed to receive good things. I'm worthy of positive change. My life is allowed to improve dramatically. Say it even if you don't fully believe it. Say it especially if you don't believe it. Because tomorrow, when change arrives, the degree to which you can receive it fully instead of deflecting it or minimizing it or immediately creating crisis that undoes it will determine whether change is sustainable or just temporary spike. This reflection invites you to consider, what's your default response when unexpectedly good things happen, immediate joy or immediate suspicion that it's too good to be true? Let me address what forever means, because change tomorrow doesn't necessarily mean everything changes permanently in single day. Forever means trajectory shifts, direction changes. What was heading one way pivots and heads different way. And once trajectory shifts, even if individual circumstances fluctuate, overall direction remains altered. You're not going back to who you were before tomorrow. Not going back to operating under assumptions that governed your life before tomorrow. Not going back to limitations that felt permanent before tomorrow demonstrated they were temporary. Tomorrow is before and after moment, dividing line, reference point you'll use going forward to measure other events that happened before the change versus that happened after the change. And measuring from that reference point, your life will be forever different. Not perfect, not problem-free, not permanently elevated to state where nothing ever goes wrong again, but fundamentally altered in ways that can't be reversed, even if specific circumstances that create the change eventually evolve or end. You'll be a different person on the other side of tomorrow than you are right now. More confident, more clear, more convinced that good things can happen instead of just theoretically possible, but practically unlikely for you specifically. And that internal shift, that belief shift, is what makes change permanent, even when external circumstances fluctuate. This reflection invites you to consider, who would you become if you fully believed good things were allowed to happen to you instead of just to other people? What happens after tomorrow, after the initial change lands, depends on how you respond to the change. If you receive it with gratitude and strategic action, if you build on it instead of just enjoying initial impact, if you use it as foundation rather than treating it as peak, then tomorrow's change becomes starting point for continued improvement. One good thing attracts others when you are in receiving mode. Success creates momentum. Confidence from one area spills into others. But if you receive it with suspicion or passive waiting for it to disappear, if you don't capitalize on momentum it creates, if you immediately return to doubt and limitation thinking, then tomorrow's change becomes isolated event instead of trajectory shift. Your job is building on what arrives, not just having it momentarily, taking opportunity and expanding it, taking clarity and acting on it, taking resource and investing it, taking connection and deepening it. Tomorrow brings seed. Your actions after tomorrow determine whether seed becomes garden. This reflection invites you to consider, if major positive change arrived tomorrow, what would you do next to build on it instead of just enjoying it passively? Let me be direct about one thing. I can't tell you exactly what form tomorrow's change takes because it's specific to your situation, your trajectory, your needs. But I can tell you the energy is definitive. The timing is tomorrow. The magnitude is significant. And if you're reading this, if this message found you, that's not an accident. That's confirmation that yes, tomorrow is your tomorrow, not someone else's, not hypothetical, not maybe if conditions align, yours, specifically, personally. The universe or timing or whatever force you believe orchestrates these things has positioned you exactly where you need to be for tomorrow to deliver what it's delivering. Trust that. Even if trusting feels scary, even if part of you wants to dismiss this as too good to be true, tomorrow arrives in less than 24 hours. You don't have long to wait to discover whether this message was accurate. So you might as well hope, might as well prepare, might as well open yourself to possibility instead of shutting down preemptively to avoid potential disappointment. You remain in complete control of how you receive what tomorrow brings. You can embrace it or resist it, build on it or waste it, trust it or doubt it, into dissolution. The power is yours. It always has been. You may notice reading this has created visceral response, excitement, nervousness, hope, skepticism, all competing for dominance. Whatever you're feeling, honor it. Take what resonates. Softly release the rest. Trust yourself. Before we close, I want to ask you something. If you knew for certain that tomorrow your life would change dramatically for the better, what would you do today to prepare? Drop it in the comments. And this, when good things happen to you, do you usually trust them or immediately start waiting for them to be taken away? Tomorrow your life changes forever. It's finally happening. Surprise. And when you wake up tomorrow, when the change begins manifesting through communication or opportunity or clarity or arrival of what you've needed, your job is receiving it fully instead of deflecting it, building on it instead of just having it momentarily, trusting it instead of immediately sabotaging it through disbelief. Not someday. Tomorrow. Less than 24 hours away. Trust yourself with this trust that you're ready, even if you don't feel ready. Trust that good things are allowed to happen to you. Trust that change doesn't have to be earned through suffering first. Trust that tomorrow is real and what it brings is yours. See you in the next one, and listen tomorrow when change arrives. Don't minimize it. Don't dismiss it. Don't immediately create crisis that undoes it. Just receive it. Build on it. Let your life be transformed. Stay ready. Stay open. Stay worthy. Tomorrow changes everything. Be prepared to let it. Take care.